Well, well, let's try that again. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio on the 21st, 4 days before Christmas of December 2022. And I guess saying that, I didn't have to say December. We have a lovely show for you today about early literacy and the science of reading with one of our Equity Award-winning companies, Learning Ally. I've got Heather Wiederstein here. She's the VP of Solutions over there. We invited her on. They won the they were a finalist in the 2022 Excellence in Equity Award in the Early Literacy Program. Excite Reading took home the top award in the Best Early Childhood Literacy Solution. So we're just thrilled that they're here. They're good friends of ours over at learningally.com. You can learn all about them. They're a national nonprofit working to solve the nation's literacy crisis in our schools, which is, what can I say? Okay, you all saw the NAEP scores, okay, and we have to just keep doing better and better and better, and one of the keys to that is early literacy, okay? If we catch it and build at the beginning, okay, we're going to save ourselves a lot of aggravation in the end, and those NAEP scores will rise. So Learning Ally works with that all the time. Heather Wiederstein, my guest, is their VP of Solutions Development. She'll be on in just a second. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. ace-ed.org. Under podcast, you'll see the link. We have everything we do over there. We are the American Consortium for Equity in Education. Okay, and over there we have teacherretention.com. We have seltoday.org. Okay, and also all the podcasts, plus a lot of great information. Of course, our wonderful magazine, which is called Equity and Access. It's an online journal. You'll see the newest issue there. Just click on the cover and enjoy the magazine. It really is excellent. I'm going to brag. It's our keystone product, and we're really thrilled about it. We try to do everything we can for equity and access, and this is so key. When we say access, we're not like talking about ramps and that sort of stuff, though those are important. We're talking about access to a quality education. So please join in with us. Everything we do over there is free at ace-ed.org. And I've never met Heather, so let me introduce myself to her as this thing spins. There she is. Heather, I'm Larry Jacobs. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm so glad we got this together. We tried before. We missed out a tech glitch, if I remember correctly, so I'm thrilled this is working out today. It's just so great to have you here. Thank you for being here. Are you in Pittsburgh?
I am, yes.
So you expecting that big storm coming up, or is it going to skip you guys? I hope so.
Yeah, it's about to get very cold. We're going to have some of it, but not all of it.
Good. I hope it misses you completely. Okay. It's incredibly. I live in Maine, Heather, and this one they say is just going to be rain up here. Okay, so we're hoping for the best. I know there are a lot of places that are going to get nailed by snow. And by the way, a lot of flights have been canceled already at Christmas time. It's terrible. I hope everybody has a great Christmas and Hanukkah. You too, Heather. You too. Okay. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too, Larry.
Thank you. Okay. Early literacy, and we talk about the NAEP scores, and everybody always thinks, with anything we do, people remember, the public remembers high school. That's kind of the last part of public education. It's kind of fun for most people, and people remember it and measure education by that. But real educators know it's early literacy that matters. Okay, and just talk about, first of all, brag a little bit about Learning Ally at learningally.org. I said .com before. Excuse me, I knew that. learningally.org. Okay, tell us about the company. Tell us about the nonprofit. Tell us what you do over there.
Oh, thanks, Larry. So Learning Ally is a we're a nonprofit. We've been around for about 75 years now.
You don't look it, Heather. You look much younger, I got to tell you. You really do.
It's my skincare routine. Thank you.
That's a good answer.
We started so long ago after our GIs were coming home wounded from the war. Our founder gathering volunteers to read books and record those books for the GIs who were coming home to go to college. And that has expanded over the years. Our commitment to serving, as you call it, equitable access to the books and the learning that's so critical for everyone. So we've expanded from our initial mission, our initial vision to serve the blind and visually impaired. We expanded into students with dyslexia, people with dyslexia, and then recently, as you have started to mention, expanding into early literacy. It's so critical to start sooner rather than later.
Oh, we have to. You know, we can't keep making the same mistake, assuming later can do it. It doesn't. We can't keep playing catch up. You got to start at the beginning and make it happen. And by the way, congratulations to the company for winning all those equity awards. We really think the world of you guys for being a part of that. I think it's just great. You know, we talked about the science of reading, and that's a phrasing, and if I may, a science that's been going around now for a little while. Can you put that into a perspective for us, please? Science of reading.
Yeah, the science of reading, it has been around for decades, actually. We're just paying attention to it differently today than we have. It's sort of an interdisciplinary body of research. It's been conducted around the world. It's been validated in all languages, not just English, several disciplines. So it covers, the science of reading really covers what we know about education and how students learn. It deals with linguistics and how we learn and use our language. There's a neuroscience component to it. There's how does the brain take in information? How does the brain learn? Psychology, sociology, what are the environments that we're learning in? All of that interdisciplinary body of research really makes up what we refer to as the science of reading. And what these studies all reveal is that there are very specific methodologies and fundamental skills that we must learn early in order to be proficient readers by the time, we leave high school, as you said, before we start having too much fun, right? So what we know about the science of reading today is based on something that's called the simple view of reading, which means that you have to be able to understand language, and then you have to be able to read the code on the printed page that represents that language. Right? So the full set of insights that we need to learn to read is that ability to decode, but also to understand and make meaning of what I can decode. So this means not just phonics, which sometimes the science of reading gets conflated for phonics. It means phonics and language comprehension. And that's why we're so excited about our early literacy program called Excite Reading.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in detail. You know, what you just said really struck me. I was a social studies teacher, secondary school social studies teacher. I do nothing about teaching reading, and I said this before. At the level I was teaching, we just assumed the kids could read. We just assumed that, and obviously not all of them could, but we assumed they could and couldn't figure out why maybe they couldn't get stuff. But you said two things. One of them is the neuroscience. We've come a long way, baby. And we understand learning. We understand learning, and I have a master's of science in education. Yet there was never any science taught to me. That was kind of a pretend degree. All right, they never taught me any science. There was no science back when I was in school applied to it at all. Believe me. All right, but there is a science involved. There is a science, of the science of reading, and it makes sense, and it's neuroscience. We know a little bit, a hell of a lot more than we used to know about how the brain works. And what you said a minute ago, I just to finish because you said something that really struck me. When I look at the written word, I don't think of it as a code. I just think of it as a written word. But somebody, somehow, took what are just marks on a piece of paper, and I still don't know how the heck it happens, and those became words, those became letters, that became language that I could read, I still do not know how anybody ever taught me that, it seems almost impossible when I think of it, and I think teaching people to read, is a miracle of some sort, I really believe that, all right, and and to see it applied to the word science, we are decoding marks on a piece of paper. It really just struck me the way you said that a minute ago, Heather. It just did. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing
Thank you.
experience.
And I think you used the right word. I think the human brain, putting all of the processes together that we have to put together to be able to read, to be able to decode those squiggles on the page and make meaning out of that. I think it is miraculous. I think that, when we think about, we have to take in auditory processing, we take in visual processing, the brain, we have to store and retrieve memory. All of that stuff happens simultaneously in fractions of seconds if we have those foundational skills, and that's why it's so important to have those foundational skills.
Yeah, it really is, which brings me to the question of teacher training and in-service teachers and teachers who are teaching. Are we teaching them properly, giving them the critical skills they need to teach children and become effective readers? Okay, are we actually making that happen? And I say, obviously, it happened to me with my teacher many, many, many years ago. Okay, but things are different now with kids. Okay, we have different levels of education. We have kids coming in from foreign lands. We have kids who are stuck in a poverty situation. There were books around my house. Okay, the critical skills necessary, okay, for reading development. Okay, how are we doing with teachers and all that sort of thing and teacher training? What's going on with that? And I know you look at that.
Yeah, we do look at that, of course. Like you, I was a certified secondary classroom teacher. I was certified to teach English language arts from 6th to 12th grade, and I taught 6th grade reading, and I did not have that science-based. Yeah, I mean, at the time that I was coming through my teacher training program, a whole language was still semi in fashion, right? We were starting to swing back towards phonics-based instruction, but that didn't apply to me as a secondary teacher. So I didn't get those classes, and through no fault of their own, I think the variances in teacher training programs have created, some varying degrees of understanding of how to really teach reading. And I don't know whether we're spending the right amount of time or whether we're teaching the right things. There are so many wonderful schools of education in the country. But I think what is critical is once we get through those programs and we get these teachers into the classroom, that they're supported with evidence-based programs, that their schools and districts are investing in long-term professional learning. To be proficient, we've talked about this, right? To be proficient, the children need to be able to lift those words up and understand them. And frankly, I'm not sure that a 4-year program is enough for all of us to really understand how to dig into the nuances of how to teach that. I think what's critical is that we are evaluating those teacher ed programs, but that we continue the professional learning long into the classroom. We know from several models of professional learning that the adult learning specifically, not just to our field, but truly the only way to really learn how to do something efficiently is to do it. And we don't have enough opportunity in those 4 years to get the kinds of experiences we can get once we're in the classroom, once we have our, 20, 30, or in our case at the secondary level, 180 kids a day, and we're learning. And frankly, I learned as I failed through my first several years of teaching.
Actually, that you just made a good point, that failure is so important. Okay, it's a shame the kids have to be sometimes a short-term victim of our own failure. Okay, but failure is the way we learn. I will recommend to you a wonderful book by a professor named Stuart Firestein over at Columbia, which is called Failure. Okay, and if you want to read the importance of failure, he's a neuroscientist, and you want to read the importance of failure and how we learn. That's a great book. I mean, it's really something, and we have to really. You just said something great. We have to really relook, okay, at teacher education. It has to change, okay, and it has to be, if I may, more difficult. I don't know how to say that the right way. It has to go deeper into the weeds. That's the way it really has to go, like any other great profession, okay? We take the education schools for granted the way they're doing it, okay? But what happens, and this is where a learning ally comes in, okay, it winds up being the the industry, you guys, okay, who go into schools and provide all the tools, okay, and the training that's necessary, all right, for people to be kept up to date. Okay, if the industry did step up, and I count Learning Ally as part of the education industry, step up and be on top of all this and create the right materials, okay, we'd be stuck in the past, and we can't do that anymore. Okay, and maybe I didn't mean it to be such a strong segue, but you talk about your new program, Excite Reading. It comes out of your research. It comes out of what we need now, not what somebody learned 20 years ago when they first started teaching. Okay, we need this kind of stuff, and that's what the role the industry plays. If I may, you guys are part of the industry. There's my speech for today. What did you think?
Well, thank you so much. I take that with a lot of seriousness. We believe that it is critical that we're. Yeah, we believe it's critical. I know you do. And in fact, as we started to think about the design of Excite Reading, one of the things that was important to us was baking in professional learning in that moment, right? Professional learning doesn't happen in that 2-hour workshop that schools pay for. It happens every day when I'm teaching, and so we baked that kind of professional learning, that guidance on how to teach against that evidence of what works, into our instructional day through Excite Reading. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah, and tell us a bit. Let's just do it. Tell us about Excite Reading. Go ahead. It's exciting. Tell us about it. Go.
Yeah.
Do it. Brag.
It is
Have
exciting.
fun.
Thank you. We are. I'm very proud of that.
Best early child literacy solution. Best early childhood literacy solution. This is good stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I am very proud of the team that worked on it. I'm proud of our VP of Academic Content, Dr. Molly Ness. She's got several amazing articles on.
Yeah, Molly's amazing.
Yeah, you know Molly. Yes, yeah. So head on over to our blog and read some of what she's saying about it.
Molly's coming up to where I live right now, not to my house, but to the great state of Maine. Okay, to spend Christmas, I believe. She's terrific. She really is, and I hope the weather stays good for her. Go ahead. Yeah, she's great, everybody.
I hope she
Molly
makes it up there. Yeah, we're
really
excited.
We're tough in the Northeast. She'll make it, no problem.
Yeah. Right. So Excite Reading is, the science of reading can sound complicated when we talk about it, right? We're talking about it, but there's actually so much information out there on what to do, and so we took a lot of that and applied it to, when we think about Scarborough's reading rope, we think about, and as we've mentioned, this ability to decode and then this ability to understand language. And Excite Reading sits on that part of the reading rope, or on that side of the simple view of reading, if you're into the Guff and Tunmer model. It sits on the language comprehension side of the reading equation, right? We're specifically focusing on building rich language through discussion, through teacher modeling, and specifically building Tier 2 vocabulary acquisition. And our research model is based on Margaret McCown and Isabel Beck in terms of acquiring Tier 2 vocabulary. And some people might look at that and say, oh, well, we should be teaching phonics, well, yes, we are teaching phonics, and next to teaching phonics, right beside it, lockstep, side by side, we should also be building language comprehension and vocabulary, because the reality is once those children can decode, if they cannot understand the words that they're decoding, we have not increased the efficiency and the automaticity of reading. We still have created cognitive load in reading, which impacts our ability to make meaning, right? So Excite Reading takes that on. We know that so many, and this is why early literacy is so important. And I actually, we believe, we know from other research that learning to read begins long before children enter school, right? So we have a pre-K level for Excite Reading, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Children enter kindergarten.
When you say pre-K, pre-K is everything before K. Okay, when I just have to ask for a definition. When you say pre-K, where are you starting? Are we talking about a 3-year-old, and I'm being serious, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old?
Yeah,
where's the pre-K start? Because it goes back to the minute you're born. That's pre-K. That's not what you mean. They have to be born and cry a little before we start teaching them. Yeah, what does it mean?
That's a fair clarification. And even those little babies are learning to read, by the way. But when we say pre-K for Excite Reading, we're talking about pre-K 4 right now. So 4-year-olds, that year transitioning into kindergarten.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Because we know that those children are entering kindergarten with varying levels of readiness to begin learning to read. Many of those, I mean, sadly, they haven't had access to children's books. They're not exposed to rich language. They're not, they've not experienced the world beyond their own neighborhoods. I was one of those kids, right? And but as a result, they don't have a
but you're from Pittsburgh. That
knowledge.
Doesn't matter. In Pittsburgh, they learn quickly. It's good. Pittsburgh, you learn quickly. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's all the lead paint. Yeah.
That and Perrano Brothers hamburgers with the French fries on top. So
yeah. So we want to make sure that those kids that are coming into kindergarten, with varying levels of background knowledge and vocabulary, that we're building that background knowledge. And so, you mentioned that we're committed at Learning Ally to equitable and accessible learning materials. Well, we applied that to Excite Reading. So we've created a program that puts groups of authentic literature. These are books that kids want to read, not books that we wrote, but that we went out and licensed really high-quality children's books. We put them together into coherent text sets, right? Content area-based themes, gardens, insects, communities, music. This way, students are getting multiple exposures to vocabulary words, multiple exposures to content area knowledge and experience. And these stories incorporate this intentional cross-discipline background knowledge for social studies, science, right? So we can use this across all content areas. And our lessons are designed very carefully to build language development and vocabulary. And we have family connections available for each lesson that the teacher can send home, games that families can play that connect back to the theme and connect back to the books that they're reading in class. And the great thing is the students can take all those books, 200 human-read stories. They get to take those back home as well, not just during the school day.
Wow. It's good. How well, let me ask you this, how well, Heather, are I want to say this the right way. Is the education, we understand how important pre-K is now. We know that, okay? Is the higher education, the training of a pre-K teacher, okay, up to snuff for what we know now they need to do, okay? And that's a tough question to answer. I know that, but it seems, and I'm not sure of this, because I don't know how they're trained anymore, but maybe you do. Do we have the people in there who are pedagogically trained to actually do this? Okay, in pre-K. It's a tough question. Yeah.
It is, and I actually do have some experience in that early childhood space, that birth
that's
through
why
kindergarten
I asked you.
space.
That's why I asked you. Yeah.
And the answer is it varies, right? A high-quality early childhood program, so your Head Start, your publicly funded pre-K, there are rigorous standards, and oftentimes those educators are the same educators that are sitting in the building teaching kindergarten, first grade, second grade. They have the same training.
Fabulous.
Not all programs hire that way, but when folks are looking at programs, looking for a high-quality program that adheres to its state's standards of quality, you will find that those educators are trained just as well as the educators in the elementary school.
And I guess my point is we can't just take pre-K for granted anymore as kind of a, if I may, kind of a daycare. Okay, all right. And daycare is important. Please don't misunderstand that. But these are real and true foundational learning experiences that if they're done right, and like Excite reading helps them, okay, if they're done right, they're going to make it so much easier for the kids, for the teachers, for the school district, all the way down the line. And we got to make sure we can't just put warm bodies in there anymore. We got to make sure these are great teachers. Probably the best teachers.
So they do. It is critical that those are actually our most skilled teachers, right? Those early years, even up through second grade. So those should be our most skilled educators. Those are the critical years where the brain is developing these processes.
Absolutely. They're and it's funny, they're the ones that we forget about. As I said at the beginning, we think of high school. The population remembers school as high school. Okay? But those early years are the key to everything. Okay? And when you said, I have to ask you this, when you said, and I think I heard you right, Excite Reading is going to be, tell me if I'm pretty culturally relevant to all kids. Am I correct?
Oh, the library for Excite Reading is gorgeous. It is. We were very intentional
nice word.
in
I like
choosing.
It. Yeah.
Thank you. But
That's
we were so intentional choosing the texts. We really do ascribe to the philosophy that books should be and can be mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors, and we can't claim credit for that. That was Dr. Rudine Sims. But we applied that to our selections.
Oh, claim credit for it. I don't care. It's all right. Claim credit for it. It's all right. Yeah.
We think it's so important that children see themselves and
exactly,
and each other, the people who live in their neighborhoods, and even people beyond their neighborhoods, right? That they see a world that they didn't even know existed. And so we've been intentional. We've selected books that represent all family structures, all backgrounds, all experiences. And on top of that, because us as an audiobook company, we've made sure to bring authentic voices to those authentic texts, so that the narrator, the person reading that text to the child, sounds like the characters in the book as well. It was very intentional, and I think that's why folks are so excited and are clamoring for the Excite program, because I think that's a missing piece right now.
It is. And what do you hear? Obviously, you've gotten some great feedback. What are you hearing from the educators who are using it?
So the interesting thing about being a person who builds solutions and builds products is I'm always looking for feedback. I'm always looking for what could be better, what doesn't work, what don't you like. We're having trouble getting negative feedback on Excite Reading from our educators. And I think that the two biggest themes that come out.
Be happy about that.
Yeah, for sure we are. We're very proud. But the two biggest themes that keep coming up are how the lessons have helped them model these rich discussions and elevate the language that they're able to use with their young students, and then the library, just the love of the books that are in the library that are organized into lessons, right? So when I was a teacher, we planned, and you to some extent too, I'm sure you plan your lessons around the text. And if you don't have a quality text, your lesson is going to suffer. And I think the quality of our library and how we've aligned curriculum to that, that's the second area where we're hearing over and over, time and again, from educators that they want more. In fact, we're giving them more, Larry. We're building more. So
we're building more what? More stories?
We're putting in more content. Yes, we're licensing more books. We are definitely ensuring that there is enough for that flexibility to match any curriculum that you're using in your classroom, and that you have enough content area to choose from as well.
Wow, it's just so important. And you guys now have, an Excite Reading grant, and you're giving away this product to eligible U.S. public schools. Tell me what's happening with that. The Excite Reading grant.
Really,
that's big. That's huge.
No pun intended, but I'm excited about the Excite Reading grant.
No pun.
We want more children in pre-K to second grade to have access to these things that our educators are telling us are working in their classrooms. We want more teachers who have maybe had some training in the science of reading, mostly on phonics, who want to learn how to apply that evidence to the language development side of the rope as well. We want to help them enhance their knowledge and their practices. So putting Excite Reading into more hands will ensure that these children are learning how to read, and we're willing to do that for free, right? So we're willing to do that through this grant program. We want the children who are coming from the most disadvantaged communities, who are coming to school unprepared, who haven't had as much exposure to books or vocabulary. We want this in their hands. We want this in their families' hands and in their teachers' hands. And so we'll support teachers in delivering this evidence-based pre-reading instruction and decoding and language comprehension. Yeah. So we have an application.
How do they get to it? Learningally.org. Then what?
Yes. So I believe we probably could send a link over. Is that possible, Larry, for the application for your listeners?
Of course.
Yeah. But we've got to do it quickly because we are running up. I think the grant deadline closes on December 23rd. So if there's anyone listening, there is still time to apply.
21st. Yeah, please. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's tight.
It's easy, though.
It's tight.
Simple,
but if you
right?
can send it over to me today, at least I'll get it up there. Okay, so
Certainly.
maybe we'll get one person. Who knows? It never hurts. It never hurts. Send it over to me as soon as you can.
And reach out to us, right? Reach out anyway. So to be eligible,
exactly.
Educators will work with us. So it's not just giving, the program out for free. It's giving the program out and helping you implement it the right way, giving you the professional learning, the professional development, so that we can see how the benchmark data grows, right? And so that you can give us that feedback that's so important to continue improving it. So we'll give you the implementation training. We'll do regular check-ins. We'll give ongoing support, and you get the program for the rest of the school year. That's the grant program.
Wow, that's fantastic. And again, everybody, you can just go over to learningally.org and get in touch with them. Okay, and I'll try to put the grant up here, but a lot of people listen to podcasts later than when they're on. So, on the archive. So please, if you're listening sometime over the next couple of days, take care of that. I have one other question before we say goodbye. And this struck me when you said, I jumped on that word coding when you were talking about reading. Okay, Heather?
Mm-hmm.
And, all the schools are always proud of the fact that they are teaching, quote, coding. But they always talk about it in terms of computer coding. Okay, that's the only way I've ever heard it. Okay, coding. We're talking about this is computer literacy. Okay, which is important these days. We're in the 21st century. Okay, but my question is, do they understand? Because the NAEP scores drop, the literacy scores drop, the reading scores drop. Do they understand that word coding applies to reading? Okay, have we jumped over an important part of a code? To me, it just struck me how juxtaposed those things are. Is that a stupid question? Is that a stupid question? I'm fascinated by that.
No, I don't think it's a stupid question. I think so. The word is decoding, right? So it's breaking that code apart that's on the page. These little squiggles, these lines, these round marks.
You don't think of them as code. You think of them as letters. Okay,
but they are, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're so proud of teaching coding, but it's always computers. We got to apply that same importance to reading. That's coding too. We're teaching these kids to break down the code. I love what you're saying. Keep going. I'm loving this.
Yeah, so that's the science of it, right? It is a code. It is something that has to be broken down and then recreated through multiple processes in the brain, and that doesn't just happen naturally. I mean, sure, for some people it might happen naturally. We might acquire it through exposure, but most students, north of 80%, will need systematic instruction.
And I don't want to tell you how old I am, but I went to school with William Penn. Okay, he was in my class. Okay, nothing silly. Or at the other end of the state. All right, but I still don't know how they taught me to read. I can't figure it out. All I know is I can do it. okay? And I learned to break a code. Somebody taught me how to break a code, okay? I never thought of it like that. That's fascinating. It's fascinating to me. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all science, computer science, reading science. It's all the same thing. They're so excited about computer science. We better get back to the 3 R's. I remind everybody the 3 R's are reading, writing, and arithmetic. But the only one that actually begins with an R is reading. Okay, we better get that straight. You know, we better get that straight. Wow.
Well, it is
Great
a technology,
stuff.
right? The brain is the best computer we have, and so we need to tune it properly.
Wow, I'm on your side, pal. I really am. This is great stuff. Heather, we got to go. Okay, have a wonderful holiday. I'm sure you're winding down like everyone else. I hope that storm passes over Pittsburgh easily. Okay, it's going to be a bad one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Larry, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to know you. Oh, are you kidding me? This was great.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Okay,
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, that's Heather Wiederstein, who's the VP. She actually creates and stuff. VP of Solutions Development and a Senior Advisor for Learning Ally. That's learningally.org. I love this company. Okay, this is just great stuff. They're really trying to solve the literacy crisis. They've been doing it for 70 years. Okay, so please check it all out. All right, we're again learningally.org, and I'm proud to say that they won the Equity Awards. They're just a lovely company. Okay, we sponsor that, by the way. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. This is our last show before 2023, so I want to wish everybody a great holiday time. Okay, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, okay, whatever you happen to be celebrating, just enjoy the holiday time and a happy new year. I hope 2023 outdoes 2022 by 1,000,000 times. All right, I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. I'll see you in 2023. Thanks for listening.